Clock Tower 3 is a survival horror game that was co-produced between Capcom and Sunsoft for the PlayStation 2 that was released in 2002 as the fourth installment of the Clock Tower franchise, though it has exceedingly little to do with the previous titles and the connections to the Burroughs family being tenuous at best. Sledgehammer, real name Richard Morris, was a man born in 1909, being 32 years of age when seen in the game proper. He was a stonecutter by trade. In the game's English dub, he was voiced by Robert Perkins, and in the original Japanese dub, he was voiced by Kazutoshi Yokoyama. In the game, he is the first subordinate, and thus the first boss that must be defeated by Alyssa as a rooter. A subordinate is the designation given to the stalkers of the game's protagonist, Alyssa Hamilton, that are malicious spirits brought back from execution to hunt and kill the rooters for their hearts. On that note, rooters are teenage girls who stand up against the forces of darkness, and while much regarding the nature of their existence is shrouded in mystery, they are essentially maho shoujo, or magical girls. According to Dick Hamilton, Alyssa's grandfather, the rooter blood is prominent in the Hamilton family. Although the rooters are scattered all over Europe, the rooters may have something to do with the Burroughs family, as the Hamilton family originated from the Burroughs before branching off at some point. So it is possible that they may be those of the Burroughs lineage who had chosen to reject the worship of the Great Father, the dark that Theodore worshipped due to his crippling thanatophobia, and was mentioned in the Clock Tower novel. At any rate, the duty of the rooters is to battle the entities and subordinates and save people whose souls were lost by returning their precious items to their bodies and or spirits. An entity is a monstrous creation manifested by the ritual of sacrificing the heart of a rooter at the peak of her powers at the age of 15. The person who performs the ritual to become the entity must be a blood relative of the rooter, whose heart they plan to sacrifice. Once a performer of this ritual of engagement takes in the heart of the rooter in question, possibly by eating it, they join to become a new entity, though it is never explained what an entity looks like, nor is it at any point shown on screen, albeit as some sort of dark spectral form that is invisible to the living. After an entity is born, it only seeks one thing: to find a person with a weak heart. It then possesses the victim, making him or her perform horrific acts of murder and violence. With every new victim, the entity in question grows stronger. Upon the death of the victim, the entity fuses completely with their soul of its murderous host and transforms it into a subordinate. From then on, the subordinate continues its murderous rampage, gaining more power with each subsequent life it takes. The only way to save the victim of an entity is for a rooter to destroy it as a subordinate. Once an entity is born, there is no way to stop it from taking over an unfortunate human's body and becoming a subordinate. All that can be done is for the rooter to play damage control by continuing to fight the subordinates and keep them from capturing young and unsuspecting rooters before their powers are awakened, so they cannot be used for this ritual of engagement. These entities may or may not also be the children of the Great Father mentioned in legend. Now, back to Sledgehammer. As his moniker suggests, he used a giant sledgehammer to fatally bludgeon his dozens of victims to death. In life, he managed to accrue 26 victims under his belt and was sentenced to 426 years for his crimes, was subsequently hanged after being tried and convicted. However, he was resurrected due to being a subordinate and possessed by an entity. Sledgehammer is first seen in the beginning of the game when the protagonist, Alyssa Hamilton, enters Norton's Tailor, when he was found fatally bludgeoning the 12-year-old May Norton on Christmas Eve of 1942. Afterwards, he gives chase to Alyssa and corners her in May's room, though she manages to throw a chair at him to escape. He then continues to chase her throughout London. When Alyssa enters Victoria Hall, she sees Mary's ghost playing the piano before Sledgehammer appears from above, frightening May's ghost away as he continues to stalk Alyssa throughout the concert hall. After Alyssa obtains a pair of pliers, Sledgehammer is aided by lunar moths. After Alyssa obtains the pocket watch of May's late father, who fell in World War II that was going on at the same time, she returns to the entrance of the concert hall before Sledgehammer appears once again to chase her. However, this time she awakens her rooter powers and uses her magical girl abilities to defeat him and deliver divine punishment to his wretched soul. Near the end of the game, his deceased spirit is seen at the ritual of engagement with the rest of Dick Hamilton's subordinates. However, They all disappear once and for all when Alyssa uses the power of the Clover Necklace. In an in-game memo it says, September 10th, 1941, Robert Morris, 32, the man known as the Hammer Killer, has been hanged. Rumors regarding Morris's death are widespread. One witness reported, he was hanged for a very long time, pulling on the straps and making unearthly noises, and blood was oozing through the black cap. The stench was terrible. Some witnesses fainted and were carried out. Morris's first victim was Tony Flanagan, 35, a fellow employee at the Banbury Stonecutting Factory. On June 6, 1940, Morris suddenly attacked Flanagan on the head with a hammer, killing him instantly. All 5 workers present were killed in the same manner. Morris disappeared thereafter. A string of similar crimes occurred until the time of Morris's arrest on March 6 in Arlton, Hampshire. Morris's victims numbered 12, and no clear motive has been determined. Specialists continue to be baffled by the seemingly abrupt change in his behavior, as well as the extreme violence of his crimes. For those curious, the Stalker theme on the OST is called Impending Destruction, and here's a snippet of that if you want to check it out. If you play the game on the hard mode, his Sledgehammer is instead replaced with a Morning Star.